Today is a good day. I didn't get a lot of amens on that. How you know it's a good day, Bishop? You are among the land of the living. And that's a good day. Deacon Drayton, what Deacon Drayton? Happy 55th birthday. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. 5-5, grace and grace. Let us, if you would please, our timing is good. Let us go into the Word of God. Different word on today. I believe sometimes we need to be shaped and challenged, pushed and prodded, jerked, and as my mom say, sometimes even pushed in the corner for you to get the right answer. Because when you got victory, you don't care how you get it as long as you have it. Let's go with me, if you would, please. Most of these, except one, will be in ESV version today. Let's go to Exodus 35, verses 25 and 26. Eric and Ashley back there don't be jumping around, so they're not probably in the order that you receive them. But somebody say the Holy Spirit. Exodus 35, 25, and 26, ESV version. Listen to the word of God. And every skillful woman, that's enough. I should have got 12 shouts right there. And every skillful woman, somebody say skill, spun with the hands, and all brought what they had spun in blue and purple and scarlet yarns and fine twined linen. Watch 26. All the women whose hearts stirred them to use their, what is it? Skill. I wish you say skill. Spun the goat's hair. Somebody say skill. Go to 35. We're still in 35. Go to verse 31. Verse 31. And he has filled him with the Spirit of God. With what? With skill. Say it with me, skill. With intelligence, with knowledge, and with all craftsmanship. Somebody say it's about the skill. It's about the skill. Since we're already in Exodus 35, go to Exodus 35 and 35. Exodus 35 and 35. He has filled them with, you're going to catch it in a minute. He has filled them with skill to do every sort of work done by an engraver or a designer or by an embroiderer in blue and purple and scarlet yarn and fine twined linen, or by a weaver, by any sort of workman, or, say it with me, skilled designer. You already know where we're going. Go to the 78th number of Psalms, verse 72. 78th number of Psalm, verse 72. With upright hearts, he shepherds them and guides them with his skillful hand. Somebody say skillful hand. Let's go to Proverbs 22 and 29. Do you see a man skillful in his work? Say skillful. He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. That's enough. That should move you somewhere. Let's go to Acts chapter 19, verse 24. This time in the ISV, International Standard Version, ISV. Acts 19 and 24. By making silver shrines of Artemis, a silversmith named Demetrius provided a large income for skilled workers. A large income. Let's tag this text with a quick title. Skilled in prosperity. Let me this one say. Somebody this side would say, skilled in prosperity. Okay, let me move on this side. Somebody, come on, say it with me. Skilled in prosperity. I have often wondered why, as Christians, as church folk, we talk a real good game. Oh, y'all want to go? We fast, we pray, we do what we can, and then we almost get there, but then there is this thing called a little short of prosperity. I have come to the knowledge that the reason why we're not walking in the full merits of prosperity is that we are not skilled. Put that slide up for me, Eric, back there. When we talk about skill, I have two of them today. Skill. Let's define skill. Now, that's not a word that you hear today. We use the word proficient. Proficient. On your job resume, you have proficient. You don't have skilled. But what we're really talking about is proficient. So if we want to talk about skill or proficient, what does that mean? That means competent or skilled in doing or using something. So are we competent in the ability to make sure that we are prosperous? Oh, now see, somebody always say, you talking about money. No. Prosperity has a plenty of advantages. Money is just one of them. But that's what you need. That's what you don't want to go there. So when we talk about in this picture here, it looks like that man is skilled in a plenty of things. What if we can be skilled in a lot of things, then why do we leave out prosperity? Oh, I got some help, I see. A skilled or prosperity individual, everyone that has a skill or is prosperous, there lies protocol. I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist. I don't care if you're a carpenter, electrician. I don't care if you're a plumber. I don't care if you're a driver. Within that particular arena, I don't care if you are in the cosmetic arena, you're a musician, you're in the military. Your skill comes with protocol. With protocol. There's even protocol in your house. Some of you are raised in the house with a mama that ran things. You knew what the protocol was. You couldn't come in after 10. You didn't put your feet up on the coffee table. You didn't talk back. Oh, I can't get no help in here this morning. You knew the protocol. You couldn't have no drugs. Like my mom used to say, you out there smoking dope, drinking dope. You knew what the protocol was. So here's my question, brothers. Do we know the protocol for prosperity? Oh, we're going to talk today. I see where we're at. So let's define protocol before we go any further. Protocol is the official procedure or systems of rules and regulations that control the environment. So here it is. If we're not walking in total prosperity, then probably your environment just does what it wants to do. So if we're going to talk about skilled in prosperity, we got to make sure first we got this protocol right. See, God gave us a promise that he would let us, we talk about the promised land, he gave us a promise that we would enter the promised land. And even in this Black History Month, if you go in a lot of the older traditional churches, they're going to talk about the promised land. Well, we're going to get there. You're going to get to the promised land. Even in slavery, all they talked about was if I can get out of slavery, I'm going to get where? To the promised land. But what is the promised land? What is this promise? God declared a promise to us. A promise is a declaration, an assurance that everything is going to be all right in the by and by. The promise was first made to Abraham in Genesis 15. Then it was confirmed to his son Isaac, Genesis 26. Then it went on to his son, which was Jacob, Genesis 23, Abram's grandson. The promise has been out there forever that we're going to get in the promised land. But look at your neighbor and say, I'm not there. Oh, nobody wants to. Okay. If you're not there, then why aren't we there? Okay, now, the reason why we may not be in our promised land is that we don't know what it looks like. I don't want to rush you right there. But the promised land is described in terms and territories. Matter of fact, if we want to do history for a minute, the promised land that God promised the people was in terms of territories, and it went from the river of Egypt all the way down to the Euphrates. Now let me back up on that. Let me show you some history there, some parenthetical analysis of why this promised land is equivalent to what we need to do today. So if the promised land was from the river of Egypt all the way down to the Euphrates River, why did God say the promised land would start at the western portion of the river of Egypt? Because he wanted to take every inch of land on the west side. Okay. See, some of us, we have left some things that belong to us. Okay, somebody about to catch that. And it was the western border of the land of Israel. Now this Euphrates River, we went all the way to the Euphrates River. Let me talk for a minute. In the Garden of Eden, I'm going to say that again, the Garden of Eden, there was prosperity. Y'all know, well, they didn't eat anything, they didn't want for nothing, food was there, they didn't even need clothes. But in the Garden of Eden, there was 4 rivers that ran through the Garden of Eden. The primary river that ran through the Garden of Eden was the Euphrates. So what God said, I'm going to start at the western border and run your prosperity all the way through the Garden of Eden because you lost it and I'm trying to give it back. Well, let me tell you something else about that Euphrates. The Euphrates is also referred to as the land of Cush. I see the theologians out there. This is Black History Month, isn't it? He said the promised land going to be at the western border and run all the way through the Euphrates, but it's also called the land of Cush. So you ain't got no excuse to say you cursed. The land of Cush is also called a land of Ethiopia. You know where Ethiopia in the continent of Africa. See, so some of us try to proclaim that we don't have our prosperity because of our ethnicity. The promised land ran from the western all the way through Egypt, just to make sure. Oh, we got get some witness on that right there. Matter of fact, when we talk about this promised land, the elderly people talk about it, millenniums, but we don't talk about it, millenniums and post-millenniums, generation Y and L. We don't talk about it, but back in the day, they talked about it because they had a vision that I'm going to get there. You don't believe it? Even Dr. Martin Luther King in his great speech, the great speech he had on the mountaintop, he said, I just want to do God's will. And he said, he has allowed me, you know the story, to go up to the mountaintop and look over, and I've seen, what did he say? And I've seen the promised land. You know what he was talking about? He wasn't talking about the promised land back in the Bible. He was talking about the promised land for us being in prosperity. Well, that was 1968. What have we been seeing other than Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? But today, somebody say, but today, I'm going to get skilled in prosperity. The children of Israel, see, as they enter into that promised land, it's equivalent to us entering today into proficient prosperity. So here we go. Here's your tweet for the day. When we talk about entering the promised land, how can we be what we do not know? How can we be what we don't know? How you going to say you're an astronaut and you never rode in anything but a tricycle? How can you say you're going to be the mayor when you dropped out of the 3rd grade? But once you know what you can be, then you can become it. See, so let me talk about these prosperity protocols real quick, get you out here. These prosperity protocols. Somebody say TDL. Yeah, these prosperity protocols, the first prosperity protocol is terminology. See, we got to have some terminology if we're going to walk in prosperity. We're not talking about millionaire. What we're talking about is that having what God wants you to have and not being worried and concerned, depressed, and downcast. That could be favor, that could be health, whatever it is. But this first one, prosperity protocol terminology, is that, you know what terminology means? Words or phrases used to express a concept. See, terminology really is saying obtaining knowledge. If you don't know a certain language, now there's a certain language that you use on your job, and then there's a certain language that you use in your house. All right, somebody in the kitchen, let me say it this way. There's a certain way you talk to your supervisor, and there's a certain way you talk to your child. Hey, let me stand up here. There's certain words that you use down in the bottom in the hood that you don't use in the bank. So if we're saying that, then what words are prosperity aligned? If you don't know the words that align themselves with prosperity, you can't get it. Here's some of the words: grace, mercy, peace, power, joy, love, fasting. You got to know these words and then apply them. Terminology means everything. If we're going to be skilled in prosperity, we got to get the word. We got to get the terminology. Here we go. We got to get the knowledge. Okay. So if we're talking about terminology to obtain knowledge, how are we going to obtain knowledge? We got to get it in word. We got to spend some time focusing and put a detailed plan that my month is going to be different than the other 40 years. If I'm 55, I'm 65, I'm 75, whatever I got left going to be better. If I'm 22 or 12, whatever, the sooner you start getting better, the sooner you get there. But you got to obtain some knowledge. The Bible said we perish because of the lack of knowledge. But when you get this knowledge, when you get this knowledge should take you somewhere. This protocol terminology. Let me say one other thing on terminology before we believe it. If you're using the same terminology in 2019 that you was using in 1990, and you in the same situation, stop using that terminology. Get you some new terminology. Nobody in here got an 8-track in their car. Nobody. If you had one, you couldn't buy it. Let me leave it alone. You got to change your terminology. In 1979, nobody knew anything about MS Player. No one knew anything about Twitter. No one knew anything about Instagram. It didn't exist. But terminology has pushed you to learn it. So let God's terminology push you to prosperity. Watch this. Let me move out of that protocol terminology. The next thing we got to do after we obtain knowledge, we've got to have this prosperity protocol direction. Direction. Words or phrases to express a concept. Now, that was the knowledge. Now, if we're going to talk about direction, it's a course or a path that you take, that someone takes. This direction, you know what that direction means? Once we get the information, the direction means we practice. This is Alabama. Everybody loves football, but you know what those guys do? They practice every day. Why do they practice? Because you got to take the knowledge that you have, and now you got to practice it. It don't do any good to say, I've been fasting, I've been praying, I'm doing all this, and you hadn't practiced it. Say, look, I'm going to pay this bill off, and this money right here, I'm going to do something else with it other than pay another bill. Oh, yeah, that messed up somebody. This money, when I pay this one off, I'm going to take this and invest it in me. I'm going to take this and put it in the stock market. I'm going to take this and start me a business. You got to start practicing. There is a song that says, practice what you preach. You got to start practicing it. And you get a raise. You go to Popeyes. No. Take that raise and say, every month, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in something that's going to push my family to prosperity. Let me leave that alone. See, that's practicing it. Okay, let me move from that because I got to get down to my witness. Now, the third one, if we talk about TDL, we got terminology, we got direction, this prosperity protocol. The next one is legality. Legality is an associated, which means that it's legal, what is permitted by law. What you talking about, Bishop? We talking about walking in your legal reality. It's legal for you to come to church. It's legal for you to go in Neiman Marcus and Walmart and Bells. It's legal for you to do that. Well, there's some things in the spirit that are legal. If God gave us a promise, it's legal for you to be moving to prosperity. Okay, somebody said it. You got to walk in what is legal. And if God said it, it's legal. What you saying, Bishop? It said I should be the head and not the. Well, why are we acting like the tail? If we wasn't in church, we'll use another word. Let me leave that alone. Legal. You got to know how to walk in something legal. Legality means find out what God say I can have and go get it. See, that's a protocol. Why do you think, watch it, I'm going to say something to make some people about it. Why do you think millionaires deal with other millionaires? Because they got terminology, they got direction, they know what's legal. Why do you think, watch this, why do you think millionaires don't worry about credit? Because they don't use it. You didn't catch what I'm saying. See, we talking about legality here. When you walk in what the Lord said, I shall have. We got to walk in. First we got to get the terminology. Then we got to get to practice it. And then we got to walk in it. And listen, you got to change your attire. Get you a shirt, buy you a can of Star, short your shirt, put your shoes on, pull your pants up, put you a belt on, shine your shoes, and walk in like you walking in prosperity. You may not have a 12 cent, but you look like you prosperous. You got to learn how to walk in it. Talk about it. Go buy you a book of Forbes magazine. Go buy you the Wall Street Journal and read about the stock market. Then what you reading that for? Because I'm going there. Let me go watch this. When we talk about this legality, it's legal. But on the other hand, it's Black History Month, I'm going to say it. On the other hand, we're so quick sometimes to walk in stuff that's illegal. We quick to do that. And when you're doing stuff illegal, you're always looking over your shoulder. And if you're doing something illegal, they can come get you and put you away, and what you had is gone. But when you're walking in legal, you're not looking over your shoulder. You're turning and walking to it. Let me leave that alone. Watch this. Let me call my witness. The witness today is 2 spies and a prostitute. Say, come here, 2 spies and the old Guanray girl. That hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. It's the Bible. 2 spies and a lady of the evening. Go to Joshua 2, 1 through 24. I have always been intrigued by this chapter. See, watch this. Most of us, when we talk about entering the promised land, we mess it up. Because we think somewhere around chapter 6 in Joshua, when they walked around the wall 7 times. Y'all with me? They walked around every day 1 time, and on the 7th day, how many times they walk around? And then we think that's entering the promised land. No, ma'am. That's occupation. That's occupying. You didn't catch it. That's occupying. They really received the promised land in this chapter 2. So I'm going to say that slow. It was not chapter 6 when they walked around the wall. And then the 7th day they walked around 7 times, they blew the trumpet, the people shouted and it fell. No, that's when they occupied. But the land was already theirs in this chapter 2. What you saying, bitch? I'll read it in a minute. But we got to know when something is already yours. You may buy the house, you may buy the car, may not pick it up for 2 weeks. You may be accepted to college and you may not go for 6 months. But when it's already yours. God, watch this. Let me read this. Watch this. Joshua chapter 2, 1 through 24. We won't do all of those. Verse 1 says, ESV version, and Joshua, the son of Nun, sent 2 men secretly to Shittim as spies, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. Can I talk about Jericho for a minute? Jericho, if you look it up in the Greek, the Aramaic, and the Hebrew, and look up the meaning, Jericho means fragrance. that this is the first city that they took in the promised land in Canaan was Jericho. And he sent 2 spies. Remember what happened to the other 12? They messed it up. He sent 2 spies, and when they got there, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to read in a minute. They got there was a different fragrance. Don't miss this. Next verse going to tell us when they got there, the fragrance in the atmosphere changed. You're going to catch it. When you go into a place and you are skilled in prosperity, the atmosphere, the fragrance should change. Watch this. And he sent, especially to Jericho, and they went and came into a house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab, and lodged there. Now I'm going to stop right there. I know you want me to skip over that. I'm not going to skip over it. Why enter into the promised land did they have to go through a prostitute house? Skilled in prosperity. You can't get skilled in nothing if you ain't dealing with people that's not skilled in money. That messed up somebody. That messed up somebody right there. They had to enter in through a doorway, this Bible, that where money was changed on a regular basis. Say what I'm about to say. Watch this. Watch this. Her house was built into the wall. Go back to verse 6. It said they walked around 6, 7 times. It said a wall fell. It didn't say her house fell. Let me watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. See, we miss our prosperity because we're trying to deal with other church folks who broke like you. Let me leave that alone. Leave that alone. Leave that alone. Come next week, you'll get another message. But today, watch this. Watch verse 2. And it was told to the king of Jericho, behold, men of Israel have come here tonight to search out the land. How did the people know that the 2 men had come into the city through Rahab's house? Let me tell you how they knew. It's Jericho. There was a sensitivity of the environment. There was a fragrance where evil and bad and craziness was going on. When they came in, freshness came in. What am I saying? Have you ever been somewhere in your house and you open the window and a breeze come through? That's what happened to Jericho. And the news got back to the king, not to even mention some of the king boys was in the house. Let me leave that alone. Let me leave that alone. Come to Bible study, we'll help you there. Verse 3, then the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, verse 3, bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out the land. I'm trying to move on, but I got to sit down. The king is the king. Why he asking the mother of the ladies of the evening to send somebody out? Look like she got more power than the king. She got some skill. See, even the king knew who had the skills of prosperity. Do you know who got the skills of prosperity? Got them out. Let me leave that alone. Let me leave that alone. Come on, let me go out here. Watch verse 4. Watch verse 4. I'm going to have to go. I ain't going to finish it. Watch verse 4. But the women, watch this, but the woman had taken the 2 men and hid them. And she said, true, the men came to me, but I did not know where they, what did it say, were from. You don't have to know everything to know that righteousness is right. How you prove that, bitch? Because when they came to her, they wasn't trying to spend no money. They was trying to get some knowledge. You about to catch where we going. Let me go to verse 5. I'm going to leave that alone. Say, go to the person for knowledge. Now say, go to the person for knowledge. Not for a treat. Let me leave that alone. Go to this Bible. Go to verse 5. Watch this. Verse 5, and when the gate was about to close at dawn. Now, he talking to her. She said, I don't know where they went. When the gate was about to close at dawn, the men went out. It said they didn't know where they went, but they went to pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them. And Rahab told him, I don't know where they are, but you need to leave now. And if you go now, you will catch them because the gate closed at a certain time. I got to stop right there. Your window, your time for your skillness and prosperity don't last forever. This is the double-double. You better hit it when it's the double-double, because you have missed windows before. Okay, let me leave that alone. Verse 6. But she had brought them up to the roof and hid them with stalks of flax that she had laid in order on the roof. Now, I ain't got time to talk about it, but how do you know that? How many of you know that stacks of flax was prosperous? They use flax for everything. Even now, when you go over there, you get some flax seed, but they were stacked. They used that to cover. They used that for warmth. I ain't got time to get in there. But even on top of her house, it was prosperous. She had so much that she could cover 2 men. Flax was used for warming. Flax was used for defense. Flax was used to get rid of insects. I got to stop right there for a minute. You better have something in your prosperity to kill what's bothering you. Go to verse 7. I got to go my time. Verse 7. So the men pursued after them. They gone down the street looking at these guys on top of the roof covered up. They pursued after them on the way to Jordan. Ain't got time to talk about what Jordan means. You'll get that tonight, tomorrow night. As far as the Forders. And the gates were shut as soon as they pursued had gone out after them. When you're dealing with people who's skilled in prosperity, they can say some things that will protect you from what's trying to kill you. Prosperity protects you, not only just bless you. Let me go to verse 8. Why? Before the 2 men lay down, she went up to the roof to them, verse 9, and said to them, now watch this, watch what she knew. I know that the Lord has given you, already had. She already knew. See, when they came in with that fresh spirit, she knew that the Lord had already given. Why did she know that? Watch this. He said, I know that the Lord has already given you the land. It's a ban that the fear of you has fallen upon us. In other words, when they knew their history, she knew how God had blessed them. Don't you know the adversary know how you've been blessed? Okay, let me finish this up. Watch this. For we have heard, watch this. For we have heard, verse 10, for we have heard now how the Lord dried up the water at the Red Sea before you. They said they've heard how, with the Egyptians coming after them, it said they heard what they did to the 2 kings, the Amorites. It said beyond the Jordan. They had heard about their success. Let me talk for a minute. Don't you know every time you thought it was all over and God bless you, the devil knew? Don't you know when you thought you weren't going to make it, you didn't know how you were going to make it, and God bless you? That's part of your prosperity, and the devil know that. But we don't know how to walk in it. If the adversary know our success, we should know our success. So when the men came in, she said, we already know what the Lord did for you, and we are afraid of you. Go to verse 11. Watch this. He said, and then they gasped when they heard it. As soon as they heard it, it said, our hearts were melted. Said, watch this, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. When you got God on your side and you skilled in prosperity, your enemies will melt. Your enemies will be terrorized of it. And watch this, you won't even know that they're afraid of you, but they're afraid of you because you got God on your side, and all you got to do is walk in your prosperity. They're afraid. Here you are afraid. You got no reason to be afraid. Because your history, you may not want to talk back to me today, but most of you sitting here today, if it had not been for the Lord on your side, if it had not been for him blessing you, if it had not been for him opening doors, you wouldn't have anything, but that's your prosperity. Let me leave that alone. Watch this. Now watch this. I'm going to paraphrase the rest of it. I know we got to go. So this is what happened. So she told him, listen, I have hid you from the devil. Now all I want you to do is when you come back, you already got the land. when you come back to occupy, take care of my family. My dad and my sisters, my family members, all the ladies of the evening, take care of us. And what he said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. He said, I'm going to do that because you have blessed us. And then watch what he said. He said, take a red scarlet and put it out the window. So when we come back, we won't mess with your house. Watch this. So then she told him, okay, that's a deal. As long as you're going to take care of us. Watch this. She said, go up into the hills and hide for 3 days. And while they're out there searching for you, after 3 days, they're going to go back home. What you talking about, Bishop? After a while, the devil going to have to give up on you. After a while, he's going to have to drop off because your prosperity is there. They went back and told Joshua what they had said. And watch what they said. They said down here, right, verse 24. They said, I'm going to read it for you. I'm going to read it for you. And they said to Joshua, verse 24, truly, 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 the Lord has done what? Given all the land into what? Our hands. And also all the inhabitants of the land melt away because of us. If you are skilled in prosperity, the prosperity is already yours. All you got to do is take it. All you got to do is walk in. All you got to do is go get it. You ain't got to walk around. You ain't got to blow the horn. You ain't got to shout. All you got to do is say, it's already in my hand. Tell your neighbor, I'm skilled in prosperity. Give the Lord a hand praise right there. Come on, Minister Ray. Heads bowed, eyes closed.